Oh, this is interesting. Sun and Moon prices, single card prices that is, are falling. Those big boy tag team cards, those waifu cards, they are on the decline. We're going to find out what has been going on with some of the biggest Sun and Moon era cards. Get into it. Now, I did a video recently where I covered the sealed booster boxes of Sun and Moon, and pretty much all of them are going up in price. Like, I don't think I saw a single one which wasn't. You know, they were all going up. Some were going to ridiculous gains. I mean, Team Up, Cosmic, Unified Minds. It's ridiculous, right? So if you have any of them in your collection, you've done well already. And I wouldn't be surprised if we'll start seeing them continuously going up. Even though the sealed product is going on the rise, we did have a big boom of a lot of the single cards. Big tag team OR cards were going up to incredible heights, you know, especially from sets like Team Up, Unified Minds, Unbroken Bonds. But now they are starting to drop, and not by a little bit, by a decent amount of money. So let's take a look. So today we're taking a look at TCG Player, what's been going on with Sun and Moon singles. Get into it. Alright, starting things off, Rosa, Full Art, Cosmic Eclipse, big card in the set, biggest card in the set. Now, I covered Misty's Favor in a recent video, and that has been falling, and some of the big cards, especially the Full Art trainers, especially the female Full Art trainers, have been falling in price. $203, still expensive. I'm not saying like these are like $50, you know, these are still pretty pricey, but it has dropped, right? It is starting to drop. Over the past 3 months, it has dropped about $30. Now you may be thinking, oh well, it's not a huge amount, it's only a little bit of a dip, but $30 is nothing to complain about. You know, we can see here the latest sales. We've had some here. I mean, the light play one there for $180. You're under the $200 for the most recent ones. We go back over the last 6 months. Look at the drop. Look at the drop. It's nearly back to where it was 6 months ago. Now, overall, the past year, yeah, it's still up on where it was a year ago. But we can't deny that it is starting to drop. You know, and that's one thing we've got to keep an eye on. Yes, it was 120, 130 a year ago, and it is still 200. It's still nearly double than where it was. But this is the start of how things happen. We've started to see it with Sword and Shield with the big old arts, like the Lugia, and the Giratina, and the Umbreon, and they all went the same way. They all started to drop, and then they dropped even more and more and more. Now, obviously, there's no reprints, but one thing we will have to say is the hype. It's all about the hype and the interest. If people are not picking these up and these aren't being sold, then they will drop. People want to try and offload some of them. Maybe they've got quite a bit, or they just need the money, and prices are falling across the board. Now let's take a look at Tag Team OR. Now, I had this myself. I had it graded and ended up selling in the end. But this card, the Mega Tyranitar and the Mega Sableye, love this one, from Unified Minds. We're looking at $144. Now this one is an interesting one, because I remember picking this one up. I think it was maybe like 50, 40, 50. Really cheap. Got it graded and then sold it. And now let's take a look. So we go back over the last 6 months. It has just been dropping. You know, it was a high of around nearly 180, and it's dropped by about $40. We go back over the year. Again, it's still up on the year, to be expected, just because of how high it went. But again, it's dropping. That's one thing we've got to keep an eye on. Things change. Things have been changing very quickly. We saw it with Sword and Shield, with the big old arts and Sword and Shield. Now we're starting to see it of the tag team alt arts and the big full arts, especially the female trainers from the Sun and Moon era. 144 still really good. I mean, what, over a year ago it was 60. So yeah, it's still more than double. But it has dropped by about $40 in the past 3 months, which is actually quite a bit. Speaking of big cards, we got the Latias and Latios tag team art from Team Up. This card is silly, expensive, and really, really tough to get hold of. $760. Alright. Yeah, it is very expensive, right? 3 months ago, it was $830. It was nearly dropped $100. That's pretty crazy. We go back after the last 6 months, and it is kind of stayed as is. Now, it was like I say, 830, and that's what we saw the drop. Now, over the past year, alright, fair enough. It is doing really well, but it did shoot up incredibly fast. Now, it has been dropping only a little bit. Now, it did actually drop $750. So we've got to keep an eye on that. Now, you know, for a $60, $70 drop is nothing to ignore. It really isn't. So it's one thing to keep an eye on with this card. Obviously, Team Up is an unusual example, just because, you know, really tough to get hold of. Booster boxes we saw the other day are nearly $2K a box. So obviously a lot of single card prices being pushed up with it. But this one's actually dropping a little bit. Speaking of another big card from Team Up, the Gengar and Mimikyu. $300. Again, still quite pricey, but 3 months ago it was $340. Dropped by about $40. We go back after the last 6 months, here's the lowest it's been. It was $350. We go back over the last year. Again, yes, it's up on the year, but we got to take everything with how it's going, right? 120, 730, 300. Yeah, really good going. But the fact is, it's dropped $50 and it's slowly trickling down. Got to keep an eye on it. You know, Team Up's not getting any cheaper. Team Up's getting more and more expensive, but the single card prices are dropping. You know, $50 is a decent amount. Now, if this dropped like 10 or 20, I'll be like, whatever. But 50, that is a big one. Okay, so this one's not a tag team and it's not a waifu card, but it is the Lugia from Lost Thunder, the Rainbow GX, the big card from Lost Thunder. $153. This one also has been dropping in value. And it was around 180, 182, so it's dropped around about $30 over the past 3 months. We go back after the last 6 months, and it really has dropped. It was as high as 182, so it's dropped about $30 overall, which is a big chunk, right? And over the past year, it's nearly back down to where it once was. You know, this card was sitting around $144, so it's only a few dollars more. But that work it put in to get up to where it was has been dropping. Again, Lost Thunder, more and more expensive. Packs expensive, booster boxes are going up, but the big Lugia is falling. Now we've got the Alicia full art from Celestial Storm. Big money card, big money card. Now this has been falling as well. It was $290 and it did actually dip to as low as $250, so it dropped about $40, but it's ticked up a little bit since then. We go back after the last 6 months, and again around 300 down to that $250, $260. But overall, the year is pretty good. So this one's actually done okay, but it has been dropping as well. And it seems to be over the past 3 months. It seems to be over the past 3 to 6 months with these cards. You know, we're not talking about massively steep, but each month they're going down. You know, I can understand where they have like this weird drop. Sometimes if it drops so fast, it's a bit odd, a bit unusual. But when it's steadily dropping month by month, then it shows a recurring theme, and the fact that it's going towards a downward trend and it's continuing to do that is going to be an interesting thing moving forward. How these card values will be. Another tag team art here we got from Cosmic Eclipse. We got the Solgaleo and the Lunala GX. Now this is again a beautiful card coming in. This is a full art, sorry, not an art, but again a big money card. 165 was 190. So again, it has dropped. We go back after the last 6 months, and it's actually the lowest it's been in the last 6 months. If you go back over the year, again, it's doing well from where it was. Of course, like I say, all these cards, the boom was massive. Now they're starting to actually correct themselves and they're starting to drop. They're starting to go back. There's a lot of hype around them and they shot really quickly. And now things are starting to calm down and going back to normal. So it's interesting to see how far these will fall. Will they go back to that $50 level? Probably not. But I think they will, basically drop. You know, the fact that every single month they've been dropping, we've got to keep an eye on it because I think it will continue even more. Maybe go down to as low as 100. Who knows? But we have to keep an eye on it. Then we've got the big boy Rainbow Charizard from Burning Shadows. Now, we have this one and we have the shiny one from Hidden Fates. Now, the one from Hidden Fates is actually holding value at around $400. It's holding the ground. This one, however, has been dropping. Let's take a look at it. So $345. It was $440. This has nearly dropped $100 in the past 3 months. Absolutely crazy. Over the last 6 months, look at that, bang, it's fallen. Over the past year, it's the lowest it's been in a year. Burning Shadows is getting more and more pricey. This is one of the hardest cards to pull in the Sun and Moon era. So the fact is that this card price is falling is actually quite surprising. But I also feel like that kind of goes into a bit of Charizard fatigue as well. There are so many Charizards now and they get printed so much. And in my opinion, I think there's a lot nicer ones in this one. This is still a nice card, but there are a lot more variety really of Charizards out there, but this is falling like crazy. That's a lot of money. That's a big drop. Will it bounce back over time? Who knows? But at the moment it is falling and it's so difficult to pick up. It's less than a Burning Shadows booster box, so you might as well just buy a copy of it. But yeah, it is falling, which is actually quite surprising. There you have it, guys. That's what's been going on with Sun and Moon era cards. I know it's crazy. What on earth is going on? Why are these cards falling like mad? Who knows? Now, a lot of it I feel like was inevitable. We kind of had a feeling that the boom, the bubble that the Sun and Moon alt art, tag team and those big full art trainers were in would eventually kind of subside and go back to normal. And I think now is the time as when we start to see it. Over the past 3 to 6 months, they have slowly been dropping. And this is the thing that you got to try and, like, you know, get an idea of. Okay, if something dropped really quickly, right, really fast, 9 times out of 10, it'll probably just bounce back up. It's just this weird blip. It bounces back up. Right? And we see it time and time again. But when a card drops by small increments, month by month, over a 6-month period, that's a sign to show that that card is continuously going on this downward trend. You know, even if it's just $10 a month, $10 to $15 or $20 a month, and it keeps doing it every single month, that is a sign that things are starting to fall and starting to correct itself, and especially with a lot of these cards. Now, there are some big cards in Sun and Moon which are holding value, which we didn't look at today, like the Lily Full Art from Ultra Prism, doing very well. In fact, it's actually gone up. There are some cards that are actually doing really well and are continuing to do really well. But there are some, like we saw with the cards from Team Up, they are dropping. We've got to keep an eye on them over the next 6 to 12 months and see how that goes. If you made this fun to the video, guys, and you've enjoyed it, make sure to smash the like button and make sure you subscribe for more Pokemon content. We are on the road to 10,000 subscribers, guys, to help us get there. And today we went through the Sun and Moon era single card prices and then fall in. If you want to know what's been going on across the board in Scarlet and Violet and in Sword and Shield, then make sure to click the video on the screen right now. And if you want more Pokemon content, guys, you know what to do. Make sure to hit that subscribe button. Alright, guys, that's it from me in this video. As always, you guys are legends. Thank you so much for watching. See you in the next one.